fire up some playoff porridge. Would you guys like to start with that game since we played the highlight from that game?
I think we need to go ahead and have the more porridge, please, drop for playoff porridge for the rest of the year. If we can find that, I'll send it to you. But I think that's something that needs to happen. Yeah, Kevin, let's go ahead and start with that one, though.
Oh, porridge, please. All right, we're gonna see what we can do about that. All right, let's start with that. CJ Stroud, understandably, is shouldering a lot of the blame for just an absolutely abysmal performance, even taking out all of the turnovers, which we'll get back to. Stroud had a completion percentage over expected as negative 16%. He completed 16% fewer of his passes than expected, the worst mark of any starting quarterback in the divisional round of the playoff in the past decade. And Stroud said, I just feel like I let people down. It hurts, and I'm not used to it.
I don't understand, Kevin. Drake Maye had a 20.8 QBR.
Man, that game was not the game.
CJ Stroud had a 21.1 QBR.
What?
All right, so write that down real quick. I want you to write Drake Maye 20.8, CJ Stroud 21.1. Because rating-wise, Drake Maye had a 100.7.
That's too high.
CJ Stroud had a 28.
Whoa.
So that number makes I've never seen QBR and rating that close before. But yeah, Stroud, my buddy's a big time Texans fan. And he went to our friend's house, our friend's Big Pat's house. Huge Patriots fan.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, how are things going over there? And he was like, actually, it's kind of cordial. They're actually being very nice to me. And I said, guess what? Nobody could play as bad as CJ Stroud's playing today. It was miserable watching that football team, and they couldn't run the ball, so their only option was to give it to their quarterback and say, hey, we got to keep trying to throw it and figure this thing out because we can't run the football against the Patriots.
And depending on where you got in, one of the popular over-unders on that one was 42.5 to 43.5 points, and in a game with, I believe they ended up with 8 turnovers, and those 8 turnovers were locked in pretty early. The final score of 28 to 16 would have it just over the over, but I thought Drake Maye did not play particularly well either. They
made a couple of good throws.
He did.
It mattered. That's about it. You're right.
And that's the thing.
But the Texans' defense is good.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Will Anderson, like Hunter, they're going to make you look different than you usually do. But man, that Texans team has to lean on them too much because their offense can't produce. But you're right, Drake Maye didn't have his best game at all.
Will Anderson tried his best. He had 3 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. And I go back to what Matthew Stafford said after the Bears game yesterday. He goes, look, I've played great in the snow before, had amazing stats, and we lost. So I like this feeling much more of like maybe it wasn't my best statistical night, but we won the game. And that is a fact. So for Drake Maye, he lost 2 fumbles and threw an interception. He also fumbled the ball 2 other times. So Drake Maye had an interception in 4 fumbles, but 2 of them were recovered. It goes back around to just how terrible, and I like the guy a lot, CJ Stroud was. In the first half, 10 for 26 for 124 yards with 1 touchdown and 4 picks. On one of them, it was so egregious that Troy Aikman was like, CJ Stroud, you can't simply throw a ball up like that hoping that somebody on your team comes down with the football. Just a terrible decision on his part.
Yeah, and, not having your left tackle out there, like that's a factor too. I get it. Their offensive line, over the offseason, they knew they needed to fix that offensive line. It looked like it was missing most of its pieces on Sunday. And quite honestly, dude, give the Patriots defense their credit too and their flowers. That linebacking crew came to play. They absolutely, they were playing in the vein of Mike Vrabel. Let's go hit people.
Yeah.
And that team, they were hitting, they were playing hard. I thought there were a lot of other moments. I know CJ Stroud played bad too. I thought his receivers let him down a lot throughout that game, but they're relying on Christian Kirk and like that's their third receiver, third receiver. Nico Collins isn't out there, their guy. And so they were having to rely on guys that even Dalton Schultz goes down, and the tight end was Stover. He was just like, I'm sorry, I can't catch. There are lots of problems in that game.
Now, I feel like we've talked at least some about the other two games, but we haven't discussed this game a lot so far. Go ahead and give me cut number 4 because you can't forget this team exists now.
First down and 10 at the 15-yard line. Darnold turns, gives to Walker, hole on the left side of the 10. Walker, a burst to the 5, and tumbles across the goal line for a Seattle touchdown. 15-yard burst for Kenneth Walker III, and the route is on in the Pacific Northwest. It's 33-6 Seattle.
Kenneth Walker, 19 carries, 116 touchdowns. Nope, 116 yards and 3 touchdowns. I was getting ahead of myself because I saw this graphic that was truly impressive. The Seahawks, they scored 40-plus points, ran for 150-plus yards, had 0 turnovers, gave up 0 touchdowns, allowed fewer than 10 penalty yards, and scored a special teams touchdown. They're the first team in NFL history to do that in a game, regular season or playoffs.
Wow.
And, that's a lot of specialized excellence because you talk about the offensive excellence right there, having fewer than 10 yards, penalties, while also giving up 0 touchdowns and then having a special teams touchdown. That's incredible. They were firing on all cylinders, and man, this game felt like it was over in the first quarter? Or
yes.
Did you at least by the second quarter you're like...
It was second quarter when we were out of the room trying to help set up some stuff, and then we popped back into the room and looked up, and it was like, what happened?
Yeah.
This has already happened? And by the end of that one, my question is still, at what point do you think the Niners didn't want to be there anymore? Because there was a moment in the fourth quarter I saw lots of give up. Like they were just like, I don't even want to get hit anymore. I'm tired of it.
Right.
And Seattle came to absolutely wallop everybody that they saw.
And what I continue to see, we'll see if this plays out, but the early opinion from a lot of people on our fan text this morning is that they think whoever wins the NFC is going to beat the crap out of whoever wins the AFC.
I have a question for you, though.
Sure.
Is this he didn't have to do much? Because, yes, Sam Darnold was efficient, 12 for 17, but he had 124 passing yards in this game.
He Mendoza'd it. He's like, our team's going to win by 15 million points either way.
This is a very Jimmy Garoppolo thing.
Yeah, I think by the end of the first quarter, he was like, just freaking give the ball to Kenneth Walker and watch them do nothing against our defense. And
yeah, you can't run this defense. You can't run against them. And we all gave them hey, I think that McCaffrey's going to pop one because.
I took the loss in that one
because Shanahan does that. He builds plays for big plays, and he averaged 3.2. The longest carry average was Brock Purdy. So they just went at him. It was a good game for Seattle.
Did you see what
we're all glad to see has a football team? And Zach and Frisco, we've been doing that before the comedian came on the show. So
yes, long before.
I appreciate you though.
Did you see Jackson Smith and Jigba's older brother? He decided to go after the 49ers quarterback, who is a cornerback, who's getting torched again and again by JSN. And he goes, Jack's always wanted a little brother to bully. Welcome to the family. And then tagged the cornerback in his tweet, which I thought
I was going to say
was pretty
Jackson
impressive.
Had 3 for 19, so I don't know that he was abusing him, but Cooper Kupp stood up in that game, made some significant plays. I do like, though, whenever you get a shot for your little brother.
Yeah.
Or you get a shot for your brother to take one at him at somebody else out there. That's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And that would be the thing where I wonder if he fires back. He's like, bro, he had 3 catches.
You didn't even have 100 yards.
Yeah, I'd be like, they won the effing game is usually what it comes down to.